Welcome to episode 6 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live on a farm with my husband and our 5 children. This is a podcast all about my life as a knitter, a crocheter, and a hand dyer of yarn. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for joining me. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts, and on Ravelry you can find me at Noble Character. I also have a Ravelry group for this podcast, which is Noble Character Crafts Podcast, so please join me over there. There are show notes on the Ravelry group for both this episode as well as any previous episodes, and there are also chatter threads and finished object threads for the cow that is going on right now. So please join us over there at the Ravelry group. Today is Tuesday, November 28th, 2017. Did anybody notice what I did last time on the podcast? I said that it was February. What in the world? I have no idea where I came up with February. Well, the only thing I could think of is that the cal that's going on right now goes until February. Maybe that was on my mind. I have no idea. And I didn't even catch it while I was editing it. I just happened to catch it after I uploaded it. I just clicked on it to make sure it was uploaded okay. And I just heard it at the beginning and I'm like, February? What in the world? So sorry about that if that was confusing for anybody, but no, it wasn't February. It was November still. Last time I've had podcasted, it is still November 2017. So anyway, I have a cup of peach tea today in a new mug that I got while I was shopping on Black Friday with my mom. It's so pretty and says Season's Greetings. I love it so much. And it says it on both sides. It's the same thing on both sides, which I think is extra special because lots of mugs you see that are only on one side, and that bothers me. I don't know why. But when I hold it, I want it to look pretty from the outside, and I want to enjoy the prettiness too. I know I'm silly. Anyway, peach tea today. Okay. So we are having, like I mentioned a few times already, we do have a knit along that is going on right now. I am co-hosting that with Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast, and that is a cable cal. So we are allowing any projects that have cables involved in them. And you can also enter any whips that you may have that is, as long as they are less than 50% completed. And that is going, it started on November 1st and it is going until February 1st. So please join both Kay's Ravelry group at the Crazy Sock Lady podcast, as well as mine, and enter, both of us have chatter threads as well as finished object threads. So please join us over there, and there will be some prizes awarded in February. So my first finished object, I have quite a few today, which is so exciting. My first one I am wearing. So I finished the SOURCEBOOK CLOCHE by NORAH, which is a pattern that is found in her SOURCEBOOK cable. What is it called? It is found in the NORAH's knitted cable SOURCEBOOK. So I really enjoyed the process of making this hat. The construction of it was super interesting for a hat. So last time I podcasted, I was about halfway around the cable section. So I first made this panel, and I also substituted a different cable pattern from the one that was in the original pattern. I used the Rib Fantasy cable pattern, which is also in the book, and it talks to you how you can substitute cable patterns, so I did. Anyway, so I was about halfway through that, so I worked the rest of the cable pattern till it was 22 inches long. And then you pick up stitches along the top and work the crown, decreasing it, which there's nothing fancy up there. It's just a plain top, you know, there's nothing, it's just decreased on the crown. And then you work this thin rib section in a straight line, you know. So this is all worked flat. The cable panel is worked flat, then the crown is worked back and forth, decreasing, and then this strip is worked flat. And then finally, then when you finish this ribbing, you come down and then you pick up stitches along the bottom of the cable panel and work the ribbing. Finally, then you join in the round and work the ribbing down to like, I think 1.5 inches or something like that. And then at the very end, there's these two seams along either side of this ribbed section, and you seam those two sections together. So the construction of it was super strange, but I don't know. What do you think? I have mixed feelings about it. I feel like I should love it. I think I do. But then sometimes I look at it and I think it kind of looks like a green brain or a head of lettuce on my head. I think I like it, but I don't know. It's okay. I think I like it. What do you think? I'm really not fishing for compliments. I really want to know what you think. Does it look strange or does it look good? Would you wear it? I don't know. I kind of like it. I think I like it. I really love the cabling. Anyway, I made this using my own hand-dyed yarn on my NORAH base, which is 100% superwash merino worsted weight in the Life-Giving colorway. So I have a skein of it here, or a cake of it. Kind of messy. But I am hoping to use this for a matching or coordinating pair of mittens, but I haven't started those yet. It was made, what needle size did I use? I can't remember, but I'll look up the pattern. I think it was, never mind, I'm not even going to guess. I'll just look. It was made using 2 needles. Needles size 7 and size 8. I don't remember when I used the size 7 though. Oh, maybe it went down just for the ribbing. Oh, you know what? I don't think I did change to a 7. So when you get to the rib section, it says change to circular needle. Well, I was already using circular needles. It says that you're supposed to use a pair of straight needles in size 8 for the majority of the hat, and then change to circular needles in the size 7. But when I read that, it just said change to circular needle, and I thought, I'm already on a circular needle. I don't need to change it, because it doesn't say change to smaller needle or anything. It just says change to circular needle. And I didn't think about that. Okay, but anyway, it's fine. I suppose the ribbing could have been tighter. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. But also there was an errata for this pattern that I didn't notice until I'd already finished it. But actually, one of my main problems was, well, anyway, I put notes in my Ravelry page for the problems that I had with the pattern, and maybe it was partially because I'm a new knitter that I had some problems. I don't know. Let's just go with that, because I think NORAH GAUGHAN's a genius with her patterns and her cabling. So I don't want to say anything negative about her in any way, but there were just a few things that I thought were a bit confusing. So anyway, I can't quite remember now what they all were, but again, I put them into my Ravelry page for this project. So, okay. Oh, and so this is my contribution, one of my contributions, hopefully there'll be more, to our cable cow. So anyway, I'm happy with it. Okay, my next finished object objects. I don't know, do you call a pair of socks unfinished object or finished objects? There's 2 of them. My love socks, finally! They took me forever to finish, so I'm so pleased that they are finally done. So this one was already done. Last time I podcasted, I was right here where this deer progress keeper is marking. So I finished the rest of the foot and the toe, and then I inserted the afterthought heel. This was my first time ever using an afterthought heel, and I really, really love the simplicity of how an afterthought heel is constructed because it's basically the same construction as you do for a toe. You know, you're just decreasing every other row. So I think it is so wonderful. The only thing is that previous to this, I always have, as I knit the sock, I try it on to make sure that I decrease for the toe at the right point. And when you do the afterthought heel, you can't try it on. So when I made the first one, I stopped midway through the foot section of the sock and then inserted the afterthought heel. And then I went back and finished the rest of the sock and was able then to try it on to make sure I was at the right part before I decreased for the toe. So then when I did the second one, I could just count the rows to make sure that they matched. But they don't actually match because my gauge changed quite a bit as I was knitting them, which I have mentioned in previous episodes. But now that they're done, you can tell. Look at that. So my gauge loosened. This is the second one, and you can see that my gauge is so much looser on this one that the ribbing is quite significantly longer. And also it's much looser. The second sock is much looser. You can see on the sock blocker this, well, maybe it's harder to tell, but I can kind of tell when I try them on that, yeah, you can kind of just tell that this one's a bit baggier than this one. So this one fits really, really well. This one is a little not so well. Maybe I should just wash them and then only stick this one in the dryer. Do you think that would work to snug it up a bit? Okay, anyway, I worked a 1x1 ribbing. I used circular needles, 9-inch circulars, US size 1, 2.25 millimeter. I did, I believe, 16 rows of the 1x1 ribbing, and then it's just a plain vanilla sock. I did 80 rows for the leg, and I used 74 rows for the foot. I did a rounded toe and Kitchenered the toe together, and then went in and did the afterthought heel. I used my own hand-dyed yarn on my pitter patter base, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, in my Dignity colorway and my Love colorway. So I'm so pleased that these are finished. A little sad that they're not perfectly matched. My personality is a little bit annoyed when things don't match, but I'm just happy that they're done. And I love how this colorway knits up. So I'm happy with them, even though they're not perfect. So I think that is all for those. I probably will not be using circular needles anymore unless down the road I want to try them again, but for right now, they're not my favorite. And I'm glad I did these just to make sure that I gave them a chance, but I don't prefer them. So good to know. And these, oh, I also cast on 72 stitches for these, and I won't be doing that anymore either. So from now on, I'll be going down to smaller stitch count so that they're more snug as well. Okay. So like I mentioned, I went shopping with my mom on Black Friday. We have done that the last few years. After Thanksgiving on Friday, we don't get up at the crack of dawn. We don't go on Thursday evening because that's really ridiculous, I think. It's ridiculous, I think. Okay, anyway, we go on Friday morning, like, I think she picked me up at 9. So, you know, the crowd isn't horrible. And we just went to, basically, we just went to craft stores. So first we went to Michael's because they had a sale where you got 25% off your entire purchase until noon. So while we were at Michael's, Mom saw this yarn that is called Bernat Mix Home. and it is a mix for sure. So you'll see in the project that I made, but it is 60% acrylic, 18% cotton, 13% nylon, 7% wool, and 2% polyester. It is a bulky weight yarn, and it's 8 ounces, 225 grams, 183 yards of yarn for the one skein. So she asked me if I would please make her a scarf using this crazy yarn. So I did. I crocheted it. I started off knitting it, and I cast on 33 stitches, and it turned out to be really wide. It was like this wide. So that was too big. I think she wanted something more narrow like this. So then I ripped that out and cast on 24 stitches, and that was more like this wide, which was better, but I got to 17 inches long, and I weighed the yarn, and I was already over halfway done with the skein. And so, you know, that wasn't going to be long enough. If I already worked over half of it and it was only 17 inches, it wouldn't have been long enough. So anyway, then I cast on, again, I cast on, and this is all knitting. I was just knitting just a garter stitch, simple back and forth. But then I ripped it out again and cast on 14 stitches, and I just got a little section done, and I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm just gonna crochet this. It's gonna be so much faster, because by that time I was so tired of ripping it out and trying again and ripping it out and trying again. I thought I'm just gonna crochet it because that will be so much faster and it's easier to rip out. You know, if I have to rip it out again, it'll just be easier to work with. And this section of yarn was, here, let me show you, in because I made tassels too. Let me show you in one of the tassels that has that yarn. This stuff is so hard. It was super, super hard to knit because those little knobs keep getting caught as you try to work the yarn through itself. It was so tough to knit, and it was very tough to it was tough to crochet as well, but it was a little bit easier. Anyway, so I was getting so frustrated with working with this yarn that I was like, I just am going to crochet it because it'll be so much faster. I used a size N hook, which is in my, this is what I keep all my crochet hooks in. Isn't that cute? Little backpack. Anyway, my N hook is a 9mm. I use all boy hooks because that's what I learned on, and that's what I think they are the best. I always put a rubber pencil gripper on the end of them so that it cushions the palm of my hand as I'm knitting or as I'm crocheting. Anyway, I started with 12. There are 12 stitches across, so I started with 12 plus 3 15 stitches, and then I used a triple crochet. So I wrapped the yarn around twice around the hook, and then, you know, if you haven't done a triple crochet, it's just like a double crochet, but you just add an extra yarn over and do this step one more time. So yarn over and go through 2 one more time, if that makes any sense. So anyway, I did a triple crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, I believe, and then worked triple crochets across. Which one can you see it in? This is probably the best sample to see it in. So that gives you a really open, airy, drapey kind of fabric. So anyway, as you can see, there's 4 different types of yarn. There is, it started with this dark charcoal color, which is the softest yarn in the bundle. And it reminds me of like a shaggy dog. It's fun. Then the next one is this horrid one to work with that I already kind of showed you. And that's more of a putty color, I guess, more gray. And then you get into this one, which is kind of like Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick or whatever. It's a woolly one. I'm sure that's the one that the wool content is in. And that was really easy to work with. And then the last section was really fun. I'd never worked with anything like that before, which was like a tape almost. Here's a little section in this tassel. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like a cloth, basically. I don't know if you can see that very well. But it was really fun to work with. It was fun to see how that stitched up. So anyway, it just repeats. Then it goes back to the soft, shaggy one, and it repeats. So this is a nice length, I think. As you could see, I could wrap it around, and it's fun. And then I really, really wanted to put the tassels on the end, so I stopped when I still had quite a bit of yarn left over and measured out my tassel. I used my Jesus Calling book to make my tassels. It's not only a good devotional for your morning, but it is also a good tassel maker. So my mother-in-law gave me this book, maybe last year for Christmas. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before that, but anyway, it's a good daily devotional. Anyway, I used that. I used the long length, and I wrapped the yarn around 20 times. And then, so you just wrap it around 20 times, and then you cut the bottom of it, and then you put a string of yarn around the top to cinch it. And then you, once you have it together, so the first thing of yarn goes up here at the top to cinch the threads together. And then you take another piece of yarn and wrap it around this section and tighten it up and cut that off. And then I use the two ends on the top to tie it onto the scarf, and then I weave those two ends back into the tassel to hide them. So they're here, they're hiding in there. So anyway, I was able to make these 4 beautiful tassels, and I think it's fun that most of them have a mix of the different kinds of yarn, and all 4 of those different kinds of yarn that were in the skein are in the tassels as well. So I think she will be happy with this. Oh, and crochet was so much faster. I literally made this in 1 hour once I went to crocheting. That's not counting the knitting time of knitting it and ripping it out. But once I actually decided to crochet it, it only took 1 hour. That's amazing. Now that I've been knitting, I kind of forget how quick crochet is. Well, and especially because I've been crocheting for so many years that, you know, I'm really much faster at crocheting than I am at knitting. Okay, oh, there's one other finished object that I finished a while ago. I mentioned it in my last episode. So I previously recorded a section on that finished object, and I will insert that right here. Another finished object that I want to share with you is a gift that I made for Christy Glass. I am so happy to be part of her 12 Days of Christmas that she's sponsoring on her YouTube channel. I am giving her, or sending her some yarn for a shawl kit to give away. And I wanted to send her a gift as well. So if you follow her, you may have seen that she dressed up as the Dominator and has made that kind of her icon on her channel. Well, like her logo and stuff. She has enamel pins that you can buy with the Dominator. If you're not familiar with it, you can check out her YouTube channel or her Instagram. Anyway, so I wanted to make her a little ornament for her tree that is the Dominator. So I'm just so thrilled with how this turned out. I think it's so adorable. So her costume looked pretty much just like this. She wore knee-high hot pink boots and a teal unitard and these matching hot pink briefs with bracelets on. And then she got this like yarn ball with knitting needles on her chest, and then she had a purple wig on. So I knit this up just in one, you know, it didn't take too long. It's pretty little. I mean, it was intricate and fiddly to do all these little pieces, but actually the pattern is knit all in one piece. You don't, well, I mean, you don't have to actually piece the pieces together. You first start with the legs and then you put them aside, then you make the arms and set them aside on spear needles, then you do the body, and as you are working the body, then you attach the legs and attach the arms, and then you work the head. So it's all worked really in one, you don't have to piece each piece together. I used the pattern for it's a Nutcracker Trio is the pattern name, and it is by Susan Claudino, and her pattern has these 3 figures. So it has the Nutcracker, the Mouse King, and the Sugar Plum Fairy. I basically use the Nutcracker pattern for the, basically the entire body and head, and then I just followed the Sugar Plum Fairy for the majority of the head, I guess. Like I switched to the purple hair at the same time that the Sugar Plum Fairy's hair starts. But then the Sugar Plum Fairy has a bun on top. And so then I followed the mouse pattern. So actually I used the pattern for all 3. But I finished with the mouse pattern to, finish up the top of the head so that it would just be flat. And this is a paid for pattern, but it comes with all 3, so it's really nice. And super fun because it's easily adaptable to manipulate, the colors and how you want it to look like. Okay, so then these are just all scrap yarns of, minis that I had from things that I have dyed. So I used the hot pink, and then I went up a little bit higher on the boots than what the Nutcracker had, and then obviously switched over to the teal for the leg, and then used the hot pink again for the briefs, of course. On the hands, I tried to knit these bracelets with these 3 strands of color as I went, but that didn't work out. It was just too hard and fiddly to switch those colors, so instead I did the hand in the tan color and then used the teal for the arm, and then I went back and embroidered on the bracelet. And let's see, for the head, like I said, I closed up the top of the head and then I just embroidered the hair on, and I'm really pleased with this. In her little icon, the hair kind of has this little colic right here, so I included that, and I have most of the hair is just sewn on flat, but then I included a few of these little pieces that are free, just to kind of give it a little more realistic look. I used 2 different strands. For all of this, I held 2 strands of fingering weight together because the pattern calls for Aran weight. So this is a little bit smaller than what the pattern says it should turn out to be because, 2 fingering weight held double isn't quite thick enough to be Aran weight, but it worked out anyway. I used the same needle that the pattern called for. Anyway, so for the hair, I used 2 different colors of purple that I had just to kind of give it some more depth. I was super, super nervous about the hair, getting that to look right, and about the face, because I thought if I can't get these eyes and mouth right, I could ruin this. And of course, that's one of the last things you do. And it didn't take too long, but it was a day of knitting that I really wanted it to work out. So anyway, I'm happy with how the face turned out. I was thinking I would use, put in a color for the eyeball, but I just thought this looked, I was like, I don't want to do too much and ruin it. So, and then I was able, can you tell with the nose, I was able to, I was able to add a little bit of a nose with some extra yarn. So I was super happy with how it turned out. I just used actual sewing thread for the face features, the eyes and the mouth, black thread that I had, because I wanted to be able to get it really detailed. Then for the ball on the chest here, I just used a piece of cardstock and wrapped it with tissue paper, and then used extra pieces of yarn. And then this is a toothpick that I just cut in half and fit through there, and then attached it on. I sewed it on there. And then for the string, I wanted her to be able to, hang it on her Christmas tree maybe, or somewhere. So I just threaded that through and then kind of tied knots in it to give it more of a finished look. So anyway, I am just so thrilled with this, and I hope she loves it too. So Christy got the Dominator ornament and she liked it a lot, so that was exciting to do for her. And stay tuned because I will be part of her 12 Days of Christmas giveaways, which I think she is starting, maybe, I think she said maybe the 10th of December they're starting, somewhere around in there. So stay tuned to her Christy Glass Knits YouTube channel as well to be, maybe you can sign up to win one of the many prizes that she has for the 12 Days of Christmas. So I also finished a few other objects, just some finishing work on them. So I showed you my son's sweater last time I podcasted, and I was able to finish the duplicate stitching on this. So this is the Wyatt sweater by Michelle Wong, but I did not use the double moss stitch that she has in her pattern. I just did stockinette. And I had mentioned last time that when I got to the section where you start purling, I was using Norwegian purling and the gauge was much looser. Anyway, so I had just one row of stitches that were much looser, and it looked, even blocking it didn't help to even those stitches out. So I decided to go over my loose stitches with a contrasting color to duplicate stitch. So I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the current colorway and just went all the way around the sleeves, because that's what the row went all the way around, and it was loose all the way around. But I'm really, really pleased with how that turned out, and I think I really like how it looks. And I was able to get, I have mentioned earlier that this is really uncomfortable for my 5-year-old to wear. Because it is so itchy. It's made with Wool of the Andes, which is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. So I did get him a burgundy turtleneck to wear under it. It's kind of a rosy color, but I think it'll look well. It'll look nice under there, I think. And hopefully that will protect his skin enough from the wool that it won't bother him so much. So I'm really pleased with that. And then I also kept doing more tassels and decided to add some tassels to my Southbound train shawl. So I showed this last time. This is a pattern by Amber Crawley of Maker's Haven. She sells hand-dyed yarn, as well as she does a podcast as well. And I decided to add some tassels to the ends of each side of the shawl. So I did them mostly in the Vineyard colorway, and then just added a few strands of each of the other colors that I used in it to add these beautiful tassels, which I think are so fun. So I again used this Jesus Calling book, but used the shorter end and wrapped it around 100 times. There's I wrapped the yarn around 100 times on these to get this thick of a tassel, which I love. I was watching Christy Glass's YouTube channel, and she had finished a shawl that was a little bit smaller, and she put tassels on the end to just give it a little bit of weight so that when you're wearing it as a bandana, it will hold the weight of the shawl down a little bit better. So I thought, hey, I could do that on this one because it is a little bit shorter, so that when I wear it like this, I was a little bit concerned about those ends falling over my shoulder. So this does just give it a little bit more weight and just adds so much. I love it. It adds a little fun flair to it. I love it. So those are just a few added additions to some finished objects that I had. Okay, on to works in progress. I have a half object. Well, so I guess, is this finished objects or works in progress? Kind of both. I am so happy with this sock. I love how it looks. So this is actually, last time I showed you, I was trying a cabled pattern and for some socks I was making. That's these, because I started doing the cable pattern and it just wasn't working out how I wanted it to. I was having a lot of problems with laddering, which I discovered that's a term. When you have a gap along the side where I was using magic loop method, and there was a big gap because I was doing the cables over the gap and the stitches were just not tight enough, I guess. Anyway, it wasn't working out and I was like, ugh, I don't want to do this anymore. So I decided to rip back to the beginning of the cuff, and then I wanted to try some different stitch patterns in the middle of a self-striping yarn. So I have Knit Picks Felici, and I use the Cheshire Grin colorway for the stripes. And I came up with 6 different patterns that I just wanted to try. This is just kind of a test because I thought it would be fun. Like I mentioned last time, vanilla socks get a little bit too boring for me. So I wanted to see if I could incorporate some kind of a stitch pattern into the self-striping, just to give it a little more interest for me as I'm knitting it. So I came up with these 6 different patterns. So the first one is like a diamond shape. Some of them are pretty hard to see. I graphed them out on graph paper, and then once you knit them up, then it's like, oh, that's not exactly how I was hoping it would look. But that one's pretty clear. I'm pretty happy with this one. The darker teal, I don't think you can tell what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be hearts. It's really hard to see them. They're just too tiny. But this was kind of trial and error, so that's okay. I think that the zigzag or chevron stripe looks the best of any of them. So I'm really happy with that one. Then this one is circles. That one is also pretty hard to see. You can kind of see it, but it's just circles. This one did not, the dark purple did not turn out how I wanted it to at all. It's supposed to be, I don't know if I can kind of show you, it's supposed to be like this and down and this way and up and this way and down like that, but you can't really see it very well at all. I can only see the horizontal lines. I can't see the vertical lines at all. It's okay, it gives it a little texture, but. And then the light purple is also not very clear. That's supposed to be triangles. But again, it was trial and error, and I think it's so fun how, I don't know, I just love the texture that it added. So I just tried those 6 stripes, and then the striping pattern starts over again. So I just used those 6 stripes and then went back to the main color, which is my hand-dyed yarn and my cold water colorway on my pitter patter base. And then I also did an afterthought heel for this as well. So for the toe and the heel, I used also my own hand-dyed yarn in the Spring Rain colorway. So, which I thought worked really well with these, especially that first stripe. It matches it pretty closely. So anyway, I just am really pleased with the look of these. I think they're so fun, and I love longer socks, so I'm really happy that these are longer. Anyway, the fit of these seems to be really good as well, but I'm anxious to wear my love socks that I showed you with the afterthought heel to make sure that, even since I love making the afterthought heel so much, I'm hoping that I love the way that it wears as well. So anyway, super pleased with these, and I'm on the second one. I've just started into the Felici yarn. I haven't started the pattern yet, but I finished the rib, which, I've cast on 62 stitches for these using a 1.5 needle, US 1.5, which is 2.5 millimeter. CHOW-GOOS, all of my needles are CHOW-GOOS, pretty much, yeah, all the ones that I'm using are CHOW-GOOS anyway. I have other ones, but don't use them very often. I did 20 rows of 2x2 ribbing, and I'm just starting onto the Felici colorway again. So I am excited to work on those. Oh, and these are housed in my Allison Barnes collection project bag. All right. My next work in progress is a challenge. This is in my Creative Frenzy project bag. And this is also a gift from my mom, but she doesn't know about this one. So hopefully she doesn't watch. So I'm doing my first color work, which is a challenge, like I said. I am doing the ARNE mittens, which are by Kate Running. And is there a good picture of the mitt? Right there. That must be Kate Running herself, I imagine. So a pretty classic snowflake mitten. I am using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, again in the current colorway, just like what I used to do the duplicate stitching on my son's sweater, and then also white. I am using size 3 needles, which are 3.25 millimeter. And this is what I've done so far. So it's not, I'm happy with how it's turning out as far as the stitches. The tangly mess is not so fun. I watched Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast. She put out a tutorial for, because I'm a continental knitter, and so I wanted to do the stranded color work with both of the yarns in my left hand. So I watched her tutorial that she showed about how to do that so that your yarns don't get tangled, but she makes it look a lot easier than I think it is. Yeah, it's just hard not to get them from twisting around each other for me. I have ordered from Knit Picks a thing that you can wear on your finger that can hold the 2 strands of color work or of a yarn. Hopefully that will help. I don't know. They were really, really inexpensive, so I thought, oh, I'll just add those on to an order that I have coming, another order that I have coming. Anyway, so we'll see how those work. But even though I'm really, really happy with how the stitches are turning out, I have separated for the thumb. And I'm really happy with how it looks, but it's super, super tight. And I know that my mom won't be happy with that. I have very large hands for a lady. And my mom's hands are smaller than mine, but she has some arthritis, so I don't think she'll be happy with tight gloves. So anyway, they fit, but they're just really snug because of that color work, I think. So I am going to, I don't know if I should rip this out or just start a new mitten. I think I might just start a new mitten on larger needles to see if I can get it to be a better fit before I rip this out, because maybe, well, anyway, just before I rip this out, I think I'll just put these aside and try it on a size 4 needle to see if that makes enough of a difference. So anyway, I made Mom I believe, yeah, a hat and a scarf in burgundy, white, and black. So I was going to incorporate black into whatever mitten I picked, but then I found this pattern and it only had the 2 colors. So I thought those would be the best contrast. So anyway, it's a challenge, but I'm excited to get better at color work because I really love the look of color work, but it's frustrating at this point to both to follow the chart and to manage the yarn tangling up. But hopefully that will get better with time. Okay, my last work in progress is my second oldest son, who turns 8 tomorrow, his sweater that I'm making for him. So this is just in one of my homemade project bags. I am not a sewist at all, so it's nothing fancy, but it just works for this big project. I am, again, doing the Wyatt sweater, but not doing the double moss stitch again, just doing stockinette. So it's coming along, it's joined. I am using, instead of the itchy wool, I decided to go to an acrylic that I had on hand, which is Lion Brand Heartland in the Joshua Tree colorway. So I'm hoping this will be, just an easy fabric that I can easily wash, and I don't have to worry because this son in particular is quite messy. Anyway, so last time I showed this project to you, I had just finished one sleeve. So I've been working on this quite a bit to finish the second sleeve and join it to the body. So I don't have a lot left on this, and hopefully I will have it done by the next time I podcast. So I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe I can get it done in time for his birthday, but that's not going to happen. Besides, I don't have enough of the toggle things that I used on my other sons, which I really like on this project. I think I only have one left, so I need to buy another package of those. Anyway, I am using US size 8 needles. which are what millimeter? 5 millimeter. So it's coming along. I'll be glad when this is done, and then I'm taking a break from making sweaters for my kids for a little bit, and I want to make a sweater for myself, so we'll see. Okay, so some new things that I have gotten are some more Knit Picks Felici. They were having a sale, and so I grabbed a few of the old colorways from their last update. I had only gotten one skein of each colorway last time I ordered Felici, so I just got a second one of the Cheshire Cat, the Witch's Brew, oh, the band fell off of that one, the Candy Shop, this one I really like, Spring Blooms, Sonora Sunset, and Punch Bug. So now that I kind of have a better idea of how long I like my socks, I definitely want 2 skeins for a pair of socks for myself. And then I thought if I have any extra, maybe I can make some littler socks for my kids. And then I also got a few of their new colorways in their Felici. I got the Spaceman, which when I first saw this one, I was like, ugh, boring. But then I thought with contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs, that could be really, really fun. So many options. You know, like a bright red, or, well, this is the Vineyard colorway. Well, just so many options for the heels, toes, and cuffs. So I really thought that would be fun. And I also, you know, it's hard to find self-striping that is good for both men and women. And so this color would be really good for my boys if I choose to share it. Might just make all socks for me. I also got the Treehouse colorway. Another good one for boys or girls. And I also got the Goth Kitty. That's really fun. I love that one. And then I also got this book, which is Encircled, and it has tons of color work yoked sweaters. Here's a few of them on the back. I really, really like, I love this one, and I really like this one too. I actually have yarn for this one already. I have everything that it needs, that I would need to make that one, and I love the shape. I like a boat neck collar really well, and so I really, really like that one. The model wears it pretty, I think, pretty fitted, and I would maybe like to make mine a little bit looser, just so I could wear it over, you know, several layers. But we'll see. I want to make a cabled sweater first, so, but this might be something that I will do in the future. I also really like this one. This is the Sun Wheels pullover. You see that? You can't see that color work very well. Maybe this one's better. Here. I love that one too. And it also has that wider neck, which I think I would like. So anyway. Yeah, I just love this one, but it looks a little bit too intricate for me at this point. But someday that would be so fun to make. I need to get a little bit more comfortable with color work before I take on that project, though, I think. Okay, and then when I was shopping with my mom on Black Friday, we also went to Joann's. And I picked up a few more sock yarns. They're like coming out of my ears. I have so many sock yarns that I want to try. But I got Patton's Croy, because these were on sale, and we got another 25% off your entire purchase coupon. So I thought I might as well splurge. So this is the Brown Rose Marl colorway. So pretty. I love those colors. And then I also got this one, which is gray brown marl. Another one that would be really good for boys or girls. I really like that one. My youngest son's favorite color is red. He loves red, anything red, so he would probably like those a lot with the red in it. And then, hasn't stopped yet with the self-striping sock yarn. I was making an order on Amazon, and I just did a quick search for sock yarn on Amazon, and I came across Red Heart brand, which I had no idea that Red Heart made sock yarn. But this is Heart and Soul, and this is in the Riverstone colorway, which is really pretty. I love those rich colors. It even has some purple running through there, which is fun. And this is 73% wool, 27% nylon. It doesn't say it's superwash, but then it also does say that they are machine washable, so it's sure it's superwash. It doesn't really say what kind of wool it is, though. But it feels very similar to the Felici. It's soft, really soft. So I'm excited to see how those work up. So I am very well set with my self-striping sock yarn. I better get busy making more socks. Yeah, so that's all my new things that I've gotten. It's plenty, isn't it? Well, I did get one more sock blocker also, because when I had first ordered these sock blockers, they're from the Loopy U, and I thought I was ordering a set, and I only ordered one. So I just assumed that when you ordered sock blockers, they came in sets, but they don't, from this company anyway. But this is a super nice quality sock blocker with the sweet little lamb. Lastly, I'll show you a shawl set like I have been showing in previous episodes. So I have been showing a set of 3 skeins that I think would make a nice shawl every time I podcast. So here's the set I put together for this week. Oh boy, that is really blowing out. My goodness, that's really bad. Let's see. That is so blown out. Oh, let's see if I can hide it. Give it a little shade. That's a little better, but then you can't really see it because I can't hold it. Okay, let's see how I can rig this up. I need like something, some high-tech stuff going on here. Not really. Yeah, it's not working. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we can kind of see it. It doesn't have any white in it, but it looks white on the screen. It's just a light green. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Okay, well anyway, this is, these are all on my pitter patter base, and you have seen this color before. This is the Dignity colorway that is in the heels, toes, and cuffs of my Love Socks. And this one is my Spring Rain, which is the heel and toe of the other sock I showed you, these. And then this middle one has both the light turquoise. Can you even see it? Probably not. Right there, there's a little section of light turquoise and the purple in it. So I just thought that that picked up those two, but you can't see it very well at all. Oh, that's terrible. Well, anyway, this middle one is called Graceful Garland. So I just thought that looked like a fun set. So anyway, again, all of my colorways are available on all my bases in my Etsy shop. So you can feel free to look online for a better picture of that. So I have, oh, as you can see, I have decorated for Christmas. I love Christmas so much. It is definitely my favorite holiday. Well, I guess, like I said last time, I love Thanksgiving, but I love being home and decorating for Christmas. So we have our big Christmas tree up, and then this is my husband in my bedroom, and I have my Christmas village set up. Can you see it? On our windowsill there. And I have another tree right here. I love having lots of trees and lots of twinkly lights everywhere. So we have really enjoyed decorating for Christmas. My kids have helped me so much. The big tree the kids decorated, and so I let them decorate it. You know, I did the lights and everything. I helped, you know, I set it up and then put the lights on. And then I let them put the ornaments on, which of course, they're not very tall yet. So all the ornaments were on the bottom half. So then when they took a nap, then I moved some of them up. But it was fun for them to help with. So we had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We went home to where I am from originally, which is Eastern Iowa, to visit my parents. And we had a really nice Thanksgiving. And like I said, went Black Friday shopping with my mom, which is always fun. My husband lets me get a break and go do that. I actually took our daughter with us though, and she had fun. Oh, it was such a sweet experience at Michael's. We as we were shopping, she found a gingerbread house that was supposed to be on sale for like $7. And there was a sign right by it that said it was on sale for $7, and it was My Little Pony themed. And we got to the counter and it was not on sale. It was $20. And so my mom was going to buy it for my daughter, but when she found out it was $20, she was like, oh, I would rather not pay that much. And we said, the sign said it was supposed to be $7, and the lady said, oh, I'm sorry, that was mismarked. We do have this gingerbread house for $7. So we said, okay, we'll take, you know, the less expensive one. And then my daughter just had, because that one wasn't My Little Pony themed, she started crying because she wanted the fancier one. And then the lady at the cashier goes, oh, but since you've spent over $30, you get a free ornament. And she pulls out, oh, I should have brought it. I'm going to go get it because it's so special. So anyway, she pulls out this unicorn ornament and it's like, oh, you get this for free. My daughter's tears stopped immediately. It is so pretty. It even has a little charm on it that says 2017. Anyway, isn't that lovely? It is glass though, so I said it's going to be a miracle if we get it all the way back to Nebraska without it being shattered, but we did. And it is high up on the tree so that hopefully it won't get broken. And that just made our day. Even my mom started getting teary-eyed because she thought that was so sweet. It was nice. So anyway, we had a good time, and anyway, it was wonderful to see family, and but it is also really, really wonderful to get back home. I really don't enjoy traveling at all. I love being home. I love sleeping in my own bed. I'm just so much more comfortable. It's just stressful for me to travel, especially with 5 kids. And we were in a really nice hotel. We got 2 rooms that connect. But still, you know, there's only so much you can do in a hotel with 5 kids. So they did get to go swimming and stuff, which was really fun. But I'm glad to be home. And then we're not traveling anymore for the holidays. So I'm so thankful to be home for the rest of the year. I am a homebody, so if I'm home, I'm happy usually. So anyway, I think that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you would like. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.